Wow. Just look at that. It looks so rich. Can I really pull this off? I'll admit, I feel a bit intimidated. African food is so rich with different kinds of ingredients that could prove difficult to replicate. But I will try. Hi guys! Welcome back to Create with Chidex. I'm Chidima. As most of you probably already know, I'm a Nigerian. So for some time now, I've been meaning to cook a proper local Nigerian dish. So when my friend ID, who's an excellent chef by the way, she came up with this idea on Insta, which she probably meant as a joke. I said to myself, challenge accepted. So in this video, I'm gonna try and make a cake that looks like pounded yam and the vegetable soup called Afang soup. At this point, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to go about this, but let's see how it goes. I'm going to start by making the modeling chocolate plate. You can use fondant for this, but I chose to go with modeling chocolate. So I'm just rolling out some cream colored modeling chocolate. After rolling it out, I would dust a plate with corn flour and drape it over the plate. I dusted the plate with corn flour to prevent the modeling chocolate plate from sticking to the real plate. Now I'm gonna trim off the excess modeling chocolate with a knife. Then I'll start smoothing the surface of the plate, first with my hand, and next I would roll up a ball of modeling chocolate and use it to smoothen it as well. Next, running two of my fingers at the edges of the plate, I would attempt to smoothen it further. When I'm done, I'll take this plate into the fridge for about 30 minutes to 1 hour for the chocolate to harden. The modeling chocolate plate is now hard enough and I've taken it out of the fridge, so I'm going to try to remove it from the real plate. I started out by running an X-Acto blade in between the modeling chocolate plate and the real plate, just to loosen up the edges a bit. Don't worry about the edges being rough from this process, because we're going to clean it up later. I'm going to be doing this very gently so that I don't break the modeling chocolate plate. Next, I flipped the plate over and the modeling chocolate plate popped right out. So now I'm just going to trim the edges again, just a little. I'm not trimming off much. I'm just trying to smoothen the rough areas. And I'm using my X-Acto blade to do this as well. After trimming the rough edges, the edges of the plate still looked a little too thick for me. So I decided to trim it further to thin it out. But you can choose to skip this step if you don't mind it being thick. To further smoothen the surface of the plate, I lightly buffed in some water on the surface. I'll be using desiccated coconut to make my vegetables for the soup. So I'll start by coloring it. I'm coloring it using vodka green edible gel color, and I added a bit of yellow to the color to tone it down. I've mixed up the colors and the vodka, so now I'll add my desiccated coconut to the mix. I'm going to make 2 batches of this coconut. The first one will be light green, and this second one I'm making is a darker shade of green. So I added a bit more of the green to the color. The quantity of the darker shade of coconut will be more than that of the light shade. Now that I've properly mixed the 2 batches of green colored coconut, I'll spread them out on parchment paper and leave them overnight to dry. To make the prawn, I rolled out a small piece of cream colored modeling chocolate. So I'm rolling it into a thin log. Then I'll curve it and flatten the tail end. Next, I'll use my fondant knife tool to mark out segments around the body. Then mark lines on the tail as well. I'm gonna make a few more pieces of the prawn, and when I'm done, I'll put them in the fridge for 20 to 30 minutes to get hard. The modeling chocolate prawns have been taken out of the fridge as they are hard enough, so I'm going to paint them using a soft brush and some orange gel food color. The color that I'm using to paint them is the sugar flare gel color in paprika stroke flesh. Notice that I'm not painting these prawns in a uniform manner. I'm painting some areas darker orange and some lighter orange. To make my tripe, I first used the grater to grate a bit of beige colored modeling chocolate, which I placed in the freezer to harden. So to achieve this color, I first of all colored my modeling chocolate yellow, a very light yellow. Then I added a bit of brown. I'm only interested in the finely grated modeling chocolate, so I'm going to take away those longer strips. After grating the modeling chocolate, I'll take a small piece of the leftover modeling chocolate and mix it in with some cream modeling chocolate to give me a lighter beige color. Then I'll roll this modeling chocolate with my rolling pin, and after rolling it, I'll use my knife to cut out small randomly shaped pieces. I would also fold these pieces to curve so they don't lay just completely flat. After rolling my modeling chocolate tripe pieces, I'll place them in the fridge for 20 to 30 minutes for them to harden. I melted some chocolate chips and brown edible gel color in the microwave. And when my modeling chocolate tripe pieces were hard enough, I took them out of the fridge, coated them with this melted modeling chocolate, and then sprinkled on some of my grated modeling chocolate on top of it. I'm going to do this in sections so that I'll be able to put the grated modeling chocolate on before the melted modeling chocolate dries. For the Kpomo, I rolled out some light brown modeling chocolate. Then I cut one piece, rolled it like so, and cut out a smaller square piece and then folded it. These two pieces then went into the fridge for 20 to 30 minutes to make sure that they were hard before painting them. When I took them out of the fridge, I used a flat brush to paint on some brown powdered food color on the surface. This really created some depth and made it look more realistic. I made some chili slices as well by rolling red modeling chocolate very thin, then using a knife to cut out thin strips, which I folded like so. Now moving on to the actual mixing of the soup. I'm so excited. I poured some toffee sauce into a bowl, then I added a bit of golden syrup, mixed everything together. Then I added some yellow gel food color. Notice how I'm putting it by the side of the bowl because I don't want to put too much of the color. So I'm going to be taking it a little at a time and mixing it in with the mixture. Next, I added a tiny bit of red gel food color, mixed it in. I'm adding in a bit more of the red. It almost looks like palm oil. Next, because this mixture is very thick, I'm going to microwave it for a few seconds to make it loosen up a bit more. I blended a small portion of the dried dark green coconut to get this. So I've got 3 bowls here, the light green, the dark green and the powdered dark green. I'm now going to start mixing them in with my prepared sauce. So I'll be putting more of the dark green coconut. I'm just putting in a bit of the light green coconut to provide some added dimension. Next, I'll get my modeling chocolate plate, then I'll start arranging my pieces of omo, tripe, the prawns and the pepper while putting in the soup. I'm trying to smear some of the soup on the omo, putting in some pepper and prawn. Next, I'll use a flat brush to brush on some of the sauce onto the prawns. I'm also brushing it onto the kpomo as well. For the tripe is a bit tricky because of the shredded modeling chocolate on top of it. So I'm just gonna put bits of the soup on top of the tripe. Then I'll microwave some toffee sauce and sprinkle it all over it. I also poured some more toffee sauce on top of the soup like this to make it less dry. To make the pounded yam, I cut out 2 circular shapes from a piece of leftover cake that I had. Then I glued these 2 layers together with buttercream and put it in the freezer for 30 minutes. Putting it in the freezer will make it easier for me to carve it. The cake is out of the freezer and I'm going to start carving it. I'm carving it into an oval shape with the top and the bottom rounded off. Here I'm going to lift the cake up to be able to round off the bottom. Next, I'll apply some buttercream all over the surface to crumb coat it. Then using my flexi smoother, I'll smoothen the buttercream and set the cake aside. I've got some cream colored modeling chocolate here, so I'm going to roll it out with my rolling pin. Then I'll drape this modeling chocolate over the cake and fold it underneath. Next, I'm going to place this cake into cling film, twist the top as shown, before using my fondant tool to mark out some lines on it. When I'm done, I'll take the cake out of the cling film. Finally, I'll place the cake on the plate alongside the soup. And finally, you have it. Our pounded yam and vegetable soup cake is done. It feels a little weird saying that. And now I'm going to cut it. Thank you so much guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to like it, share it, and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.